All right, teammates. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up kind of where we left off over the past couple of weeks, dealing with our wealth builder training. This installment tonight is going to be a little bit unique. If you followed over the past handful of weeks, man, we've covered it all when it came to how do we take a client through the wealth builder. For the new teammates that are just chiming in, and this is your first training, and you're saying, okay, so what is a wealth builder? I don't know what he's talking about, right? Well, what a wealth builder is, the wealth builder is, how we go about the business of taking a client through the process to build them a strong financial house, right? It's normally something that we do on a second appointment, right? That first appointment is designed to introduce them to our opportunity. And if they're not interested in joining the business, talk to them about who we are, what we do, and getting a commitment from the client to allow us to build them a financial house. Well, that's a second appointment, right? So we get that commitment to meet with them a second time to build them a financial house. That second appointment is taking them through the wealth builder process. That's what we call it, right? We call it a wealth builder. Well, we've been talking about how do you effectively do that since the beginning of the year, since January. And we have so many trainings that are out there already on our Hierarchy YouTube channel. If you want to play catch up, definitely go out there, go to YouTube. And if you haven't already, just search search Prove It Training Official. Prove It Training Official. Just search that. And our YouTube channel will come up. I'll show an image of that towards the end of training. And you'll be able to subscribe to the channel and get access to all those past trainings to play catch up. Or if you just want to reinforce what you've learned, you can always watch them or listen to them over and over and over again. And then for the past, couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, we've been allowing you guys to go into breakout rooms and do some practice drill rehearse where you've done some drill for skill, where we've given you scenarios of clients. And you've been able, as an agent, to practice that process based on the scenario that your breakout room was using. And I've just gotten great feedback from people that have done a tremendous job of taking people through that practice wealth builder. And so we're excited about that. Now, tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. And so let me share the screen. And so this is part 5, right? I'll probably do just one more piece to this wealth builder training because I think we got a really, really good solid collection of content that's out there. The next one that I'll touch on next week, we'll deal with how do you get referrals. And I know everybody's like, yes, talk about it, Nick. Yep. So we're going to talk about how to effectively leverage the wealth builder to get referrals. So we'll talk about the getting referral process next Tuesday. So you got to make sure that you plug into that. But tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. But I just want to start off by answering a question that I know that comes up often. And that question is, well, Nick, when we do life insurance, how do you know, how to allocate, when you do when you do the wealth builder, not just the life insurance, but when you do the wealth builder, right? You're taking them through that wealth builder software, through the Primerica app. How do you know how to allocate the client's commitment? How much goes towards the insurance and how much of their commitment goes towards the investments and things like that? How do you know what to quote them and what range and all that good stuff? So I'll be honest with you, teammates, it really all falls on instinct. It falls on instinct. And the more you do it, the better you'll become at it. And so, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to try to at least give you somewhat of a template. Now, let me give my disclaimer. Listen to me. Let me give this disclaimer. What I'm going to show you on the screen next is not a hard, fast rule that you have to adhere to every single time. It's one of those things to where if it makes sense and it's appropriate, you do it, but then there could be some exception type situations in there where you do something a little bit different, right? I just want to give you more. So I want to speak to the psychology behind how do you quote out different options for a client, because that's really what it is. It's a psychological experience for the client when you present that to them, because they're not buying based on what they see. They're buying based on what they feel. I'm going to repeat that. if you're taking notes out there, and hopefully you guys are, because this is the stuff that you want to take notes on, when you present to a client their life insurance options and you make recommendations for them and stuff like that, first of all, they're buying you, right? So that means that you have to be on it. You have to be on top of your game. So they're buying you first. They're not buying Primerica, they're buying you, right? And with them buying you, you have to present them with something that they feel good about. It's not about what looks good to them, it's about what feels good to them. And what feels good to them, they'll let you know financially what feels good to them, but how you allocate their commitment, psychologically, it has to jive well with them and it feels right. And if that's just kind of too ambiguous for some of you guys, the more you do this business, you'll get clarity on what I'm saying right now. For those who have been around for a minute, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And so that's called that instinct. You'll develop that instinct about what to do, what not to do, and how to recommend things to a client. So let me kind of share this real quick. How to allocate a client's commitment, how to chop up, the money that they say that they could comfortably set aside to do their wealth builder. And so there's always that lead-in question to get this client's commitment. Before you make any recommendations for anyone, you have to get, what is your monthly commitment? How much could you comfortably set aside? So our lead-in question is, if you have your wealth builder companion sheet, you can always get that off Virtual Base Shop. If you go to the part where it talks about closing business, it says something to the effect of, now we want to transform what we've been discussing into a reality. This should be on your wealth builder companion sheet. And if you want to be a field trainer, you got to get this stuff down reflexive to where you're not reading it off the sheet, right? And so this is how you do it. You say, now we want to transform what we've been talking about into a reality, right? But we want to do it at a cost that makes sense to you. So, Mrs. Client, when you look at your bills and income, realistically, how much could you comfortably set aside on a monthly basis to not only have life insurance, but also be able to invest some money to be able to create more wealth, right? Now, often you might leave that question there, but you don't do that. What you do is you give the client options. You give them options to choose from, right? Because if you just ask that question that I just finished asking and just leave it there, people will give you things like $50 a month or $75 a month. And although that's a commitment, that's not a big enough commitment to really tackle some key areas when it comes to building a financial house. So what you do is you give them a roadmap, you give them guidance on where they should be. And so you say, hey, how much could you comfortably set aside on a monthly basis to not only have life insurance, but to be able to invest more money to create wealth? Some clients are on a limited budget. They can only set aside $100 a month, and that's okay. You can start anywhere. Most of our clients are probably between $150 and $350 a month, and you have a fortunate few, they can do $500 or more. Or there might be a other number that you're thinking about. But again, when you look at your bills and income, realistically, how much could you comfortably set aside on a monthly basis to not just have life insurance, but to be able to invest some money to create more wealth? What would you say? And you allow the client to give you the commitment. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole, all the extras that go along with that, but you get the picture. So the client is going to give you a number, you vet that number, and how do you chop that number up, right? Let's say that, let's go back to the commitment. Let's say the client gives you, hey, I can only do $100 a month. Well, this is a general rule of thumb, right? If a client gives you a monthly commitment of $100 a month, I would say the life insurance quote, depending on their age, depending on if they have children and things like that, should probably be somewhere around maybe $50 a month. It could be more than $50 a month if you're trying to, if you're not going to do more things. $100 a month probably is just enough to be able, depending on their age, just enough to be able to do life insurance. You might be able to carve out $25 to do the investment, right? Because in order to be able to do a mutual fund, a client has to do a minimum of $25 a month into the mutual fund. Just putting that out there. And so you could do a situation where you put, $50 towards the life insurance, another $50 towards the mutual fund. Or if they need to have a decent level of coverage because they have responsibilities, it might be a situation where you're putting $75 towards the life insurance, $25 towards the mutual fund or the savings. It could be either one, right? But this is where the $100 commitment can go. Now, then you might have a situation, this is where a lot of our clients will be. And if you notice when I tell them those options, most of our clients between $150 and $350 a month, teammates, that's where most people's commitments are going to be, between $150 and $350 a month that they can comfortably set aside. Well, you're putting about $75, about half of that, towards the life insurance. The other half is going to go towards maybe a Roth IRA, whatever the case may be, right? That's kind of that rule of thumb, half and half. And then if they have a $200 a month commitment, then you can get around about maybe $85 or more, could be the life insurance option, and then the rest will go towards the savings and the investing, right? And then $250, you got about $100 towards the life insurance, and the other portion will go towards the investment. And then for somebody that has $500 more, this is that fortunate few, you got about $150 and up is going to go towards the life insurance, and then the rest is going to go towards the investment. But again, the portion that goes to the life insurance, it all depends on what their situation is, right? So the numbers that I'm showing you, these aren't hard, fast rules, nothing like that. These are just general recommendations of where to be. Now, I will say this. When you make the recommendation of how much you want to allocate towards the life insurance and how much goes towards the investment, when you get into these numbers where the commitment that they've given you is $150 or more, things like that, you don't need to have the lion's share of the commitment going towards the life insurance. You want to be able to have a good balance in there. They give you a commitment of $150. You don't need to be quoting them policies where the monthly premium is $125. Don't do that, because psychologically, the client is not going to feel that. They're not going to feel that, right? They might not be able to articulate that, but they'll tell you and they'll show you in other ways that they're not with that. They might tell you things like, let me think about that. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but, can I think about it for a week? That's simply because you presented them some options that didn't quite feel good to them. But if you came back with a situation where you said, look, you got a $150 commitment, your options are, and those options are fitting around maybe $80, $75, $65, and things like that, $60. Then they're probably thinking and they're feeling that looks good, that feels good to me, right? And they'll more likely go ahead and move forward and get the policy. I'm telling you guys, people buy things based on what they feel, and that's why the language in our process, it uses that word feel, and it's there for a reason, right? And so let me go back to the share, and hopefully this was helpful. But this is what I wanted to really touch on tonight. What do you do if someone you haven't had an appointment with tells you they're interested in life insurance? Oh, here we go, Coach BWalk. What do you do if someone you haven't had an appointment with tells you they're interested in life insurance, right? And so we know it happens from time to time, but we know that how it happens is that you're probably out there talking to people about you want to sell them some life insurance. Shake your head, yes, right? And some of you guys, for new recruits, this is just a recommendation. You want to tread lightly on being out there just talking to people strictly about life insurance. I want to sell you a policy. I know you just got your license. I know you're excited about it. I know you want to make some money. You want to get paid. I get it. But we want to effectively teach you a process, and it might be some low-hanging fruit out there to which you can sell a policy to a family member, a sister, a brother, a best friend, and things like that. They know what you're doing and they want to support you in that, and they want to buy a policy. That's cool. It just doesn't need to be your all-out approach. That's your go-to, that you talking to everybody that comes within a 3-foot, 6-foot radius of you about what's your insurance looking like. Hey, I need to talk to you about your insurance. Don't do that. Don't do that. We want you to follow the process that we've laid out to you, and the process that we've laid out. This is for new recruits. Could be for seasoned recruits if you're doing this. We just want to course correct you. We want you to be able to do the process in a way where you're going to know how to do the whole thing. We don't want you out there just kind of hustling insurance. And we're going to talk about that. But this is a scenario to where it could be a referral that someone has given you, to where somebody passed your information to someone they know. And this person has maybe texted you and said, hey, I got your number from this person. They said that you helped them with life insurance. I'm interested in getting some for my family. Or this could be somebody that contacts you through social media. You maybe put something out there, letting people know that this is what you're doing, and somebody direct message you, or they got in your message box and they said, hey, look, I'm interested in getting some life insurance. I want to talk to you about it. What do you do? How do you handle that, right? How do you handle that? Well, I want to talk about that tonight because we haven't really quite delved into that part of the business yet. And it does happen. Now, this does not, what I'm going to show you tonight, hold on, let me go. Let me stop sharing and come back on camera. Look at my face, teammates. What I'm about to talk to you about tonight, and what I'm going to show you tonight, it does not replace the current system that we follow now. It does not replace that. This is just a means of what to do if this scenario comes up. Not that you out there hunting for the insurance and that's your go-to. I get it. Don't do that. We don't want you to do that because we don't want you to pigeonhole yourself and limit the opportunities that could be right there in front of you. But you can't see the forest for just the trees, right? So we want you to get all the blessings that God has for you, right? So this what I'm gonna tell you tonight is for those situations that happen occasionally. Operative word is occasionally, where somebody will come to you and say, hey, I'm interested in getting life insurance. I know what you're doing, or I heard what you're doing. I'm interested in getting a policy, right? How do you handle that? Because sometimes we might think that we got to take them through the whole process and just to get them to get a policy. Well, what I'm going to show you tonight is a little bit different. So I just want to give you this training on wax, on recording, so you can have this in your arsenal to be able to effectively do when that scenario arises, all right? So what do you do if someone you haven't had an appointment with tells you they're interested in life insurance? Well, you can handle it like a rookie, or you can handle it like a pro. You can handle it like a rookie, or you can handle it like a pro. All right, so let's talk about what the rookies be doing. Man, the rookies, this is what they do. Rookies be like trying to close the Life app, Andrea, through text messages and direct messages. Hey, man, hey, you trying to close the deal without even having a conversation with them over the phone. Like, you trying to do it all through the text message. If they hit you on text message, man, you trying to swing for the fences and close the deal. You trying to get social and everything. You trying to do it all over text or direct message, right? That's a rookie move. Don't do it. Rookies be asking questions like, well, how much coverage do you want? Hey, Nick, I thought that was a good question. Yeah, okay, I got it, right? Well, it's a good question, but it's a rookie question, right? And we're going to talk about why that's a rookie question. Or rookies will send clients different quotes, whether they send them through email or you're texting them to them. And why are you doing that? Because the client asks you to. Hey, can you send me some quotes? Hey, can you email me some quotes? And you're like, sure. And you go into your Primerica app, quick quote engine, and you sending over about 2, 3, 4 random quotes and all that type of stuff. And yeah, that's what you're doing. And you think you got something going on. Hey, man, I got some people that have inquired about insurance. They told me they interested. I gave them some quotes. They looking them over. This, that. Have you heard from them? Have you heard from them? Probably not. You ain't heard from them. And we're going to talk about that. Well, the reason why is because, look, you believe the client. When they said, let me look these quotes over and I'll get back to you, you actually believed them. And you know what they did? They took your quote and they said, man, let me go to the internet and see what's out there. And they looked at something on the internet and they compared it to your quote. Here's the problem. They're not comparing apples to apples. But they don't know that. All they're seeing is that you said that they can get $250,000 with you, right? And $15,000 on their son for $63 a month. They went to the internet, and the internet telling them that they can get the same $200,000 or $250,000 with 15 on their son for $25 a month. And they thinking that you trying to get them. But what they don't know is that internet policy is something different. But since you haven't walked them through a process and educated them, they don't know. And so they're not calling you back because they shopping your quote. Let me go ahead and break it down. They're not calling you back because there's been no education, there's been no connection. You know, they don't know anything about why they need that much coverage, and they are shopping your quote. They shopping your quote on the internet. They shopping it with their current insurance agent. They shopping it with their cousin, whatever the case may be. They shopping your quote. That's why they haven't hit you back. They trying to see if they can find it cheaper somewhere else. Well, you're not in the business of just selling based on cost. Cost is very important when it comes to insurance. But when we take a person through a process, we create value. And the value you bring is by bridging a knowledge gap with the client. You bridge a knowledge gap. And when you bridge a knowledge gap, you always bridge a value gap. You hear me, Crystal? Whenever you bridge a knowledge gap, you always bridge a value gap. Lenore, do you hear me? Whenever you bridge a knowledge gap, you always bridge a value gap. So lead with knowledge. That's your ace in the hole. If you're not educating a client and taking them through a process, then you just like everybody else out there. Just like everybody else out there that's trying to hustle some insurance. And I think that's the last one. You make the mistake, you trying to hustle insurance, and you will mistake your good intentions for good skill. Somebody missed that. You're gonna mistake your good intentions for good skill. We know your intentions are good. We know you want to help everybody. You want everybody to have insurance. You've had people in your family that have passed away and that they didn't have any insurance, and you saw how that devastated the family financially and how your aunt had to raise money to bury her son and things like that. And so in your heart, you just want people to get coverage, especially people that you know and care about. And you know that they don't have to. You just want them to get coverage. So if they express any interest in life insurance, man, you just want them to get a policy. So you acquiesce and you say, hey, look, you want some quotes? Let me give you some quotes. So that's your good intention. But good intentions never is a substitute for good skill. We want you to keep your good intentions, but at the same time, family, with your good intention, tonight, we're going to give you some good skill. Tonight, we're going to use some good skill. That's what we're about, is connecting the two. Good intentions, good skill, all right? And so let's do that. Let's do that. And let's talk about the pros. This is what the pros do, right? If you want to be a pro, and rookies don't get, rookies can be amateurs too, right? Pros get paid the big money. If you want to get paid big money in Primerica, then this is what you need to be doing. If the client makes contact with you via text, the pro will immediately look to schedule a time they can talk on the phone with the client. Person texts you out of the blue, say, hey man, my cousin told me that you the insurance agent. I'm interested in getting a policy. Dang, I spelled immediately wrong. I'll be doing it. Yeah, so overlook that. But yeah, so how can I get a policy from you? Your response is, if you're a pro, you say, hey, listen, that sounds excellent. I'd love to talk to you about it. When is a good time I can call you and we can speak briefly, right? So what a pro is looking to do is immediately get a person who's showing some interest. If they didn't call you, you're looking to get them on the phone so you can talk to them about it, right? Or you want to have some type of communication verbally to them. And that's important. You're going to see why here in just a second. Why is getting them on the phone important? Because check this out. Once they are on the phone, it gives you an opportunity to ask them qualifying questions just to see if it's even worth having a meeting with them. What are some qualifying questions, Nick? Well, do you currently own any life insurance, right? Do you currently own any life insurance? Are you currently shopping for life insurance? Who have you already gotten quotes from, right? These are important questions that you want to know because you have to put yourself at the advantage. Well, information gives you the advantage. I'm going to repeat that. Information gives you the advantage. Well, do you currently have any pre-existing conditions or take any medications for anything? Man, I think you need to know that. Somebody says, yeah, well, I just had heart surgery last year and I'm trying to recover. Well, you already know that, man, the likelihood of that person getting approved with a policy with us, it probably won't happen. So you can kind of educate them. Well, since you have that pre-existing condition, with my experience, it's probably going to be very, very challenging for you to get a policy, because it's so recent that type of medical issue that you've had. So I don't think that I would be able to get you covered under this program. Or it might be a situation where you find out the person is older. Well, how old are you? Well, I'm 72. Guys, you don't know how many people that have contacted me or have been referred to me that are in their, early to mid 70s, right? Early to mid 70s. And they're asking for insurance. They say they're in great health and things like that. And they want a policy. Well, at Primerica, the maximum age that we can do is age 70. So anything beyond age 70, we have a third-party company that we got to work with. And that takes some steps. That's a process and all of that. So you determine if you even want to go that route. And so it's just good information for you to know. So that way you don't show up thinking that it's going to be something, but then it's something different, right? What else? What are some other qualifying questions? Have you had any challenges qualifying for life insurance in the past? Basically what that means is, have you been declined by any other company from getting a policy, right? Have you been declined? That's important information to know. Because if they've been declined with another company or 2-3 other companies, chances are there's something there that they may not have disclosed that's preventing them from getting covered, and they probably won't get covered with us. These are just questions. Do you smoke? Now, that's not a deal breaker, but if they're a smoker, you know that, okay, this premium is probably going to be more so on the high side, right? It just gives you information that is pertinent to whether or not you want to move forward. And then last but not least, this is a big one, especially in the environment that we're in now. Have you been diagnosed with COVID in the last 90 days? Have you been diagnosed with COVID in the last 90 days? Man, you got to ask that question, because if they have, we can't do a policy with them. They have to be literally 90 days removed from having COVID before we can even address getting them a policy. And sometimes people get COVID or they overcome COVID and the mortality risk sets in and they get very antsy and they say, I need to get me some life insurance, right? And they'll contact you and this, that, and the other, thinking that they can get a policy, not knowing that there's a 90-day period that they have to wait. These are all questions that you want to be able to ask on the phone when you're talking to the potential client, all right? And then if the answers to the qualifying questions are okay, if they answer all the questions good, they're okay, the answers are good, then what the pro will do is schedule a Zoom meeting with the client. They'll schedule a Zoom meeting with the client. Notice how they say asking them questions good, and then all of a sudden you start throwing quotes at them. Don't do that. I know you want to make the money. I know you're excited about that license. I know you say, man, I got a hot prospect there's Wilson Beach. I know, but look, don't do it like that. Schedule a Zoom meeting. It could even be like if you're still in field training, a Zoom meeting with you and your trainer. Give your trainer the rundown, your field trainer the rundown of everything that's going on. And so that way they know how to approach the meeting, right? And so with that being said, I want to kind of pause right here to ask, if anybody has any questions or anything like that about anything that I've covered up until this point. And so give me some feedback, give me some questions. What do you guys think? Anybody got questions?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, what's up, Julian? How are you?
Hi, how are you? I have a question about what you were discussing earlier about the insurance and the investments, asking the client about how much they can invest. If a client says that they have like investments with their job, then how do you, handle that? Do you just move on to just the insurance part?
Well, you got to understand when you're talking about the whole insurance and investments piece, by the time you get to that part, you should have already taken them through the wealth builder. Mm-hmm. And so by taking them through the wealth builder, you'll already have clear knowledge of where they stand financially.
Right.
and if there's a shortfall in their investment strategy. So even if they have investments through their job, tell y'all something, 99.5% of the people that we sit down with is going to have some type of a retirement shortfall, which means that their retirement goal is here, but money that they already invested is down here. So there's going to be a gap. So 99.5% of the time, there should always be a need for us to set some of their money aside for a retirement account because they have a shortfall. And, but if the client says that they're cool with where they are and they don't want to set any other money aside for investments, then I think there might be a miscommunication there in terms of what we're trying to do. And so I would probably take a step back and make sure that they're understanding that any money that we're putting towards investments is money that they need to have towards investments. Because like I say, 99.5% of the time, there will be a shortfall. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. That answers the question. Yeah. Cause I had a client like that and they were like, well, I have, 401 with my job and I'm investing this much and I think I'm comfortable with that. And so I just wanted to make sure I was strategizing and using the right approach when dealing with them to have them, make sure that they understood why we were, why I was going that route.
Yeah, for sure. So by looking at that compatibility sheet, that wealth builder compatibility sheet, when you are talking about that, the investment part of the wealth builder in the F&A, when you're doing that, you should be driving that point home like, hey, can you see that you need to be investing some more money to be able to hit your FIN number, right? Most people are not on track to hit their FIN number. I would challenge and say that, unless the lady that you were talking to was on track to hit her FIN number, then she should see that, hey, I need to be investing more money. Well, if she has a big enough commitment to where we could put money aside to go towards that so she can have a better shot at working towards her FIN number, then you get that buy-in. You get that buy-in early in the process. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, no problem at all. Anybody else? Just quick questions before we move on to the next portion.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead. No, you go. I have a question, Nick. When it comes to doing all of this and getting into the business, into the weeds of dividing out life insurance and investments, this is only after you've been released to run appointments on your own. Most of the stuff can be covered and handled with the field trainer. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Andrea. Because somebody is on here thinking that Nick then gave them the keys to the car. Hey, Nick then gave me the keys, man. He told me I can go get it. No, I did not, right? You need to be, have the seal of approval to be able to go out and do these things. Let me tell you something. Primerica is a high performance vehicle, right? And the thing about a high performance vehicle, if you know how to drive it, man, it's a lot of fun. But guess what? If you are new to it and you're just trying to figure it out, man, that high performance vehicle can hurt you. So for people who are still field training, you're still a trainee, this is not the green light for you to start doing this process. This is something that more so for people that are independent producers, right? And you've been labeled by us as leadership to be an independent producer. And this is for the field trainers, right? And the only people that can certify folks as field trainers are Rahima and I. Your field trainer can't certify you as a field trainer. We are the only ones. Us as RVPs, Rahima and I and Coach BWalk, we're the only ones in the hierarchy that can certify someone to be a field trainer. But even also independent producers, we just want to make sure that you know what you're doing and how to do it. But this is good information for you to see, be exposed to, and to learn in your journey to work towards becoming that. All right. And so, great question, A-Town. Mom, you got a question?
Yes, I just wanted to, maybe you want to address, because I've had several situations like this too, those clients who fall outside of the weight and height requirement to the point where they're rated up, and how we should not disqualify them just because of what we see, because some of them are insurable, and how we should really, well, I know that we have the field trainer, but those who are new out here, not to disqualify people just because they may rate up, and what that means, because some people don't know what it means. and how that should be approached.
Absolutely. So, sometimes, people may not have conditions like, diabetes or a history of cancer, or anything like that. They may be overweight, overweight by insurance standards. And so what I mean by that, I'm talking about overweight to where it's obvious that, man, okay, this person is big, for lack of a better way to put it. I don't want to be disrespectful or anything like that. But there is a level to where the weight could be a hindrance to someone getting approved at the rate that we quote them. And that's called being rated up. That's called being rated up. So what rated up means is that you are approved for the coverage, but the company, Primerica, sees you as more of a risk because of your weight. And so the price is going to be higher than what you were quoted. Now, here's the deal. As agents, we have to be conscious of that. And so there's a way to submit an application to where, and we tell the client up front, hey, because of your weight, we're going to submit this policy, what we call COD. COD stands for cash on delivery, which means that the client does not have to put any money with the application, just gives them a chance to see if their policy will get approved, and then the company will show them what their premium is at the rated up level. And then the client can decide if they want to take it or if they want to make any adjustments to bring the cost down. You get the picture. But that's one of those things to where, as trainers, we got to be very conscious of when we're doing that. But that's a field trainer level question, Mom. That's more so for the trainers and things like that.
Right. I just didn't want the new people to disqualify people just by sight, right? Or people will say, oh, I didn't get approved. Remember, we had someone who didn't get approved, but we found something that worked for him. So Primerica's qualifications were a little different than the other life insurance companies that he went to. That's one of the perks about Primerica too.
All right, very good. Very good. Thank you for that.
I have a question, Nick.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a certain amount? Because I know I'm one of those people, like, I don't want you saying anything about my weight, but I do know that you can be disqualified due to your BMI. If we see that there is someone like that, is it a certain amount that we could possibly just throw out there so they won't have to encounter that?
Let me say this, is that Primerica knows that, man, Americans are heavy. We love to eat. It's just what it is. So, if somebody is, let's say it's a male, he's 5'6", he's 250. That's not like, but if he's 5'6" and he's 325, like right there, that's when they like, whoa, time out. Even if the gentleman doesn't have any high blood pressure, no diabetes, and that's kind of a miracle situation because, a lot of times when people have, in a situation where they have weight on them like that, they can have some pre-existing conditions, but there are times where people don't. But what the company will look at is still say that, hey, man, this person, based on their height, they're really overweight, and so they'll count that against them. They could be rated up because of their weight. But it's situations like that where you see those dramatic, like, and I say that to say this: most of the people that we know, and most people in my family, by American standards, are considered overweight or considered obese. You don't have to worry about that. It's just in those extreme situations to where that can come into play, if that makes sense.
So with the height and weight, is that considered to be the medical exam? No. Because I know that I have a policy and I don't recall him asking me my height and weight. Now, once I start getting up to like 300,000, then that's when I had to do a medical exam.
Yeah, so we have the height and weight is what we put down on the application, right?
Okay.
So that's what they're going to go off of, is what we put out on the application first. But the company does have means of verifying things, right? And so this is one of those questions to where, it ain't no hard and fast, like, wait, like the company used to have a height and weight chart that they put out for standard non-tobacco ratings. They don't have that anymore. They just have a height and weight chart for somebody to qualify for preferred and preferred plus. So I think they took that away for a reason, because they know there's a gray area there. They know that it's a gray area there when it comes to people's height and weight. It depends on underwriting. So I couldn't tell you what the height and weight threshold is for each person's height. I couldn't tell you that because they don't give us that information. But just know that the instinct that you develop, and you'll learn this instinct from your field trainer. You'll see your field trainer knowing what to do. And then you guys have that debrief after the appointment to figure out why they did it that way. That's what's going to really help you develop how to move and how to do certain things when it comes to that situation of somebody's height and weight.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't really need to make you worrisome. The point was to encourage you that I had several clients who, were in that category, but they were all approved. They didn't think they were going to be, and they were approved at a rate that really worked within their budget. Okay, so I was saying to not be discouraged and have people say, "Oh, I've never been approved," because Primerica takes a lot into consideration. That's what I was trying to say, and they work towards working, to really help someone if they don't have like serious medical conditions, because that's on every level, right? But don't be discouraged, and do not refuse to take an application just because of someone's past history with another company. That's all I was saying. Okay, because you just never know. Okay.
Very good.
Sorry, Nick.
No, it's all good, Mom. It's all good. Trust me, this is good conversation. This is what we're here for, so we can help people grow. And that's what we want to do. We want to help you grow. And if it's okay with you guys, if you have a question, kind of save your question. You can always come back to this part to the end. I just want to make sure that we get through the next section of training. I promise you that we're going to come back to you. All right. And so what we want to do now is I want to have you guys observe a wealth builder between Coach BWalk and I. I want to have you observe that. And so these are the tools for this exercise, right? The tools that I'm going to use, and you can follow along with me. I'm going to use part of the Primerica presentation, the presentation that we do for clients, right? Going to use a part of this Wealth Builder companion sheet, right? This is what it looks like, but I'm going to focus on the life insurance section of the Wealth Builder companion sheet. Going to use this DIMES calculation sheet, going to put that up. And I'm going to use the Primerica app, right? The Primerica app is the engine that you use, the tool, the technological tool that you use to give quotes and all that good stuff, right? So these are the tools that I'm going to use. And guess who we're going to talk to, man? We're going to talk to our sister. I feel that she's a part of the family right now, even though she's a fictitious character that has been made up, but she is always a willing participant in our role plays. If y'all don't mind, y'all give it up for the make-believe Miss Teresa McIntosh. Come on, mute, man. This sister is awesome and amazing. Her and her son, they never seem to age.
Way to go, Teresa. Always available, baby. Always available.
She always show up, and she always on time, bitch, man. She always on time. And guess what, man? Her son is always with her too, man. Man, they don't age. They just forever young, man. They forever young. I love it. I love it. So with that being said, man, Coach BWalk, man, you ready? You gonna get it in with me?
I'm ready. I do. I feel like Teresa, Miss Teresa is family. Yeah, I'm ready, Nick.
Awesome job. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, very good. So that's what we'll do. We'll do Teresa McIntosh. So I'm going to be the agent. Coach BWalk is going to be Teresa. And let's just say that it's that scenario. She's reached out to me, a text message or whatever. Somebody referred her to me that said, hey, this is my life insurance agent. You need a policy. Hit him up. She's hit me up. And so now I've already talked to her on the phone. I found out that she's good. I've asked her the qualifying questions as you should. And now we're on the Zoom meeting. Is everybody with me? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. I've just set the scenario, right? Give me a thumbs up. You good? All right, perfect. All right, so this will, okay, all right, Teresa, thank you so much for being able to meet with me via Zoom. It's good to put a face with the voice. And just like I explained to you on the call, we can definitely explore some things to help you with your life insurance and all that good stuff. And so what I want to do, if it's okay with you, before I kind of get into talking about the particulars of life insurance, I want to share a little bit about who we are and what we do, because I think that that's important to know who you're dealing with in terms of the company and just the credibility behind us. Just a couple of slides, and then it's going to talk about what our vision is and what our purpose is for what it is that we do. Is that okay with you?
Yes, yes. And I thank you for taking this time to meet with me today as well. You came highly recommended. And so, I want to reach out and, speak to you about some life insurance. So thank you for meeting with me.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, Teresa, to just kind of give you an overview of who we are. And have you ever heard of a company called Primerica before?
I've heard about it before, but it's been a long time.
Okay. All right. Well, let me kind of give you an overview of who we are now. We are more than a life insurance company. We're a financial services company. So we've been around for a minute. We've been around since 1977. So we're not some fly-by-night company that came around the corner yesterday. We got over 40 plus years in business now. A lot of people don't know this, but Primerica, Teresa, is the largest independent financial service company in North America. We have over 131,000, really it's 135,000 at this point, licensed representatives. We're even listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Our ticker symbol is PRI. So this image that you see on your screen is when we draped our banner across Wall Street back in 2015. And guess what? In that same year, Forbes magazine ranked us as one of the 50 most trustworthy financial companies in America. That's the only time that Forbes has created a list as such. And we were fortunate enough to make that list. And so we feel that we're the biggest and the best. But it's not because of our company's size, Teresa. It's really our company's mission that sets us apart. And I think that you would appreciate this. Our mission as a company is to help families earn more income, become property protected, debt-free, and financially independent. Now, let me ask you this question. I think I know the answer to it. Teresa, who do you know that would love to be financially independent?
Everyone I know.
Everybody, right? Exactly. And so I believe the same thing. Everybody would love to be financially independent, but we can both agree that most people are not financially independent, correct?
Correct.
Yep. And so what we do is we try to bridge that gap to help people really get there. And so with that, let me skip these. We feel that in life, there are two major financial risks that we all have to manage. Either we're going to die too soon or we're going to live too long. And Teresa, dying too soon speaks to the risk that if you were to pass away, guess what? Your family's going to need some money to take care of the responsibilities you leave behind. So life insurance is the best defensive strategy to have in order to mitigate that risk. But you need the right kind, Teresa, and you need the right amount. And we're going to talk about that. But then you also have the other end of the spectrum, which is living too long. And this speaks to the risk of outliving your money. Teresa, did you know that one of the biggest fears that people have as they get closer to retirement is that they're going to run out of money and be forced to go back to work? Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that.
Mm-hmm. And so we all know people that are probably retired and they went back to work, and nobody wants to be in that position. And so we feel the best offensive strategy to have is to have enough money invested. So I know that we're going to talk about life insurance today, but just trust that this living too long portion is just as important. And what I want to do is at the end of this meeting, I would love to set up a time, a follow-up meeting to meet with you to be able to talk about that living too long piece, because if you do make it to retirement, I would love to make sure that you have a comfortable and a secure retirement. Does that sound okay to you?
Yes, I'm open to meeting with you again.
Okay, all right, perfect. So this is what we'll do today, is that we'll just focus on the dying too soon piece, right? And
okay.
The question that I always ask, Teresa, is that when you think about life insurance, what do you feel is the purpose of life insurance?
I think the purpose of life insurance is actually, if anything was to happen to me, I want to make sure that my child is well taken care of, that no one has to beg for anything, any expenses to take care of my funeral arrangements, but also to make sure that I've put my family in a good position, to where they could pay off a lot of debt and live comfortable, creating, when I think about it, I just really honestly think about trying to create generational wealth for my family.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. I think you just hit the nail on the head. Now, you just said a lot, and I agree with everything you said 100%. but just kind of take it a step further for me, if you don't mind. Why are those things important to you?
They're important because I think for so long, especially when I think back to like when my grandmother had a policy, it was just enough to get her buried, you know, and really we still had to come up with money after she passed away. And when you look at a lot, like I see on social media all the time where those GoFundMe accounts or, you know, families where they have one person pass away, but then the kids are still there. So there are two spouses and, you know, life still carries on. I don't want that to happen, you know, in a situation where my family has to struggle in the event that I do pass away. So that's really important to me.
That's so awesome. I love it. And so we've already talked, when we talked on the phone, you mentioned that you did not have any coverage outside of your job, correct?
Correct.
Yep. And we also talked about just the importance of having coverage outside of your job, because the coverage you own through your job, to remind you, is not a policy that you own nor do you control. So it's always wise to have something outside the job. And so what we want to do today is I want to take you through something that we call the love test, because that's what life insurance is, Teresa. It's a love transaction. It's for the people that we love and care about the most. And so what this love test will do is help us determine how much life insurance coverage you need. Now, I'll admit, what you need and what you're willing to spend may be two totally different things, but it's always our job to take that educational approach and at least show you what you need, okay? And so I'm gonna share my screen again, and I'm gonna talk about how we go about that, right? Hold on just a second. Hold on. Let me get it ready. All right. And so let me share my screen with you. We use an acronym, Teresa, called DIMES, right? And each stands for something in that acronym. Can you see this on your screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So the letter D in DIMES stands for consumer debt, right? The letter I stands for income replacement. This is the most important question in the love test. And so what we're going to do is we're going to save the letter I for last. The letter M stands for mortgage. The letter E stands for kids' college education, and the letter S stands for funeral services. And so let's start with the letter D. So Teresa, the question I have for you is that if you were to pass away, would you want me to come back with enough life insurance money to be able to pay off your consumer debt, so that way that burden is not left on your family? And when I say consumer debt, I'm talking about any debt that does not include your mortgage. You own a car, credit card debt, student loans. Would you want that stuff paid off?
Most definitely.
Okay.
I would.
Okay, very good. And so if you had to roughly estimate how much consumer debt you have, what would you say?
I'd say about 35,000.
All right, we'll say 35,000. Okay, very good. All right, remember, we're going to skip over the letter I and save that one for last. Let's talk about your mortgage. Do you have a mortgage right now?
Yes, I have a mortgage.
Okay, all right. Well, if you were to pass away, would you want us to come back with enough life insurance money to pay your mortgage off, so that way that burden's not left on your family?
Most definitely.
All right. What's the current balance on your mortgage? Just a rough estimate. What would you say?
About 215,000.
215,000. Very good. All right. The next one is the letter E, kids' college education. I think you mentioned that you have a son, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, if you were to pass away, God forbid, to come back with enough life insurance money to pay for your son's college education, so that way that burden's not left on anyone.
Yes, I want his education paid in full.
Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and qualify that. Because we say that the average four-year college costs about $25,000 a year. Now, it could be more, it could be less, but we just use $25,000 a year. So if you're looking at a four-year college, that's about $100,000 for his education. Are you saying that you want to be able to pay that in full or just pay a percentage? What would you say?
No, I want to pay it in full.
Okay. All right. So I'll put 100,000 here. And then last but not least, the letter S stands for funeral services. And so the average funeral, Teresa, costs about $15,000. Again, it could be more, it could be less, but we always put about $15,000 in there for the funeral. And that brings us to the letter I, right? Income replacement. Teresa, this is the most important question in the love test. And let me say there is no wrong answer to it, right? But it's a two-part question. The first part of the question is that if you were to pass away, who would you want to be your beneficiary?
My sister.
Your sister? Okay,
Mhm.
good. And so your sister, I'm assuming that you guys are really close, and you would probably want your sister to look after your son. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct, correct. We
Yeah.
had the conversation, even if something does happen to me, that's who will take care of him.
Man, I'm so happy you said that. It's a great conversation to have. A lot of people in our community, they don't have that type of conversation. And so what I want to do, I want to set a scenario. Teresa, let's just say that, God called you home and made you an angel, right?
Mhm.
How much money would you want to leave your sister in a lump sum so she can be able to take care of your son? Now, keep in mind, you already have enough life insurance money to be able to pay off your consumer debt, so you don't have to worry about that. And there's already enough life insurance money to pay off your mortgage. There's enough life insurance money to take care of your son's college education all 4 years. And there's enough life insurance money, Teresa, to pay for your funeral. What I'm talking about would be extra money that you would leave your sister and your son. This would basically be the last love letter that you would leave them. This would be some money that says, hey, I love you. I don't want you to struggle. Here's some money. I want you to live and enjoy your life. What is an amount that you would want to leave your son and your sister in a lump sum? And there is no wrong answer. What would you say?
I'm gonna say about 250,000.
250,000. I think that's a great number. 250,000. So what we want to do, Teresa, is we want to add all of these numbers up, and this will help us determine how much life insurance coverage you need. So if we add the 35,000 to the 250, to the 215, we add all these numbers up. Teresa, you need about $615,000 in life insurance when you add all those numbers up. Let me ask you a question. Did you have any idea you needed about $615,000 in life insurance coverage prior to us meeting?
No, I thought maybe 300,000, but not 615,000. I did not.
I got you. And let me tell you something. This is why this exercise is so important, because I sit down with a lot of people and they say the same thing. Once they go through this love test, they're able to see how much they need. And that's why we feel that everybody should be able to go through it, right? And I'm going to talk to you about that towards the end of our meeting, of how you could probably be a blessing to some people with that. And so you need $615,000 in coverage. Now, again, what you need, Teresa, and what you're able to spend may be two totally different things, right? Because we understand that the best type of life insurance to have is one that you feel comfortable paying. I know you can agree with that, correct?
Correct.
But at the same time, we don't want to sacrifice too much what we feel is the purpose of life insurance. So there needs to be a balance between the need and the affordability. So the question that I always like to ask Teresa is that if I am able to show you a policy, and let's say that you like it, it makes sense in every way. And Teresa, check this out. The premiums are actually something that you can afford. Is there any reason why you wouldn't get that policy?
No, no reason at all.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. And so what I want to do is I want to transform what we've been talking about into a reality, but I want to do it in a way that makes sense to you financially. So what I want to ask you is that when you look at your bills and your income, realistically, Teresa, how much could you comfortably set aside on a monthly basis to have an insurance program? Now, some of our clients are on a limited budget. They're going to do between maybe about, maybe $60 to $80 a month, and that's okay. Most of our clients are probably between maybe $80 and $150 a month that they can do towards an insurance program. And then you have a fortunate few. They can do more than that $150 a month. God bless them. Or there might be another number that you're thinking about, Teresa. But when you look at your bills and income, realistically, how much could you comfortably set aside on a monthly basis to be able to have an insurance program to properly protect you and your family? What would you say?
I'm going to go with the, when you said between $80 and $150 a month.
Okay. $80 and $150 a month. Now, is that an amount that you say, hey, I can do $80 and $150 a month with my eyes closed? I don't have to bat an eye at that. That's comfortable to me. I'm good with that. I don't have to cut back on anything, because that's the number that I'm looking for, Teresa. Would you say that between 80 and 150 is like that for you?
That's the number. I'm comfortable with that.
All right, very good. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together 3 different life insurance options for you that fit inside that range, right? And when I come back and I present these options to you, I'll explain them to you. And I want you to let me know which one feels good to you coverage-wise and also cost-wise. Does that sound okay?
Okay, that's fine.
All right, perfect. And let me pause right there. So family, that's what I do. That's how I get them to that point. This is for someone who you've gotten in contact with and you know from the very beginning, they want life insurance. They've said it, hey, I want a policy, right? Again, this is not a substitute for how you treat people just on a regular appointment. You don't do this. This is for people that will come to you on those occasions, on those rare occasions, and they say that they want a policy. You don't just start quoting, you take them through the process. And what I'll do is I'll tell Teresa, so this is what I'm gonna do, Teresa. I'm gonna black my screen out and I'm gonna go put together these 3 options. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back in about maybe 2 to 3 minutes and I'm gonna present those 3 options for you. So just give me about 2 to 3 minutes. Just hold on for a minute. And so what I do, this is what I want you to do. I want you to black your screen out and I want you to unshare your screen and you go into the Primerica app in the quick quote module and you start putting together quotes for them. And when you put together those quotes, what you're going to do is you're going to display those quotes down here. There's option A, option B, and option C, right? You're going to display those quotes as option A, option B, and option C, right? And so you display those quotes there, and I normally put the more expensive option as option C. I put the happy middle at B, and then I put the least expensive option as option A. That's how I normally present them. I know sometimes people might put the most expensive at option A and work their way down from there. Whatever your prerogative is, so be it, right? But just put the most expensive and the least expensive on the 2 bookends and put the happy medium right there in the middle at option B, right? So that's what you do. And you come back and you present those options to Teresa. You present those options to Teresa. Now, for the sake of time, I won't go through the whole quote process. I won't do that. I should have probably already had that together. But just know and trust. I know Teresa's budget is between $80 and $150 a month. Are y'all with me? $80 and $150 a month. You should not be coming back quoting her. Even if, okay, her need is $615,000. That's her need, right? If for her to get $615,000 costs her $250 a month, you don't need to be coming back and quoting that, right? You don't need to do that. You need to stay within the range that she gave you. Your option A, B, and C does not need to be above that $150 range that she gave you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? If you feel you have to step over that $150 range, you might have a $5, $6 cushion. Are y'all with me? To where you might come back with something that maybe be $156 a month or $155 a month. You still might have a little cushion there. But if you get into these 160s, 170s and things like that, I'm telling you, family, you might want to dial it back a little bit. This is just instinct that I'm giving you. Instinct that I'm giving you. All right? And so what I would do is I would present her those 3 options. And I'm telling you right now, because she called me to get life insurance, she'll probably get whatever the highest option is. If she's on a budget, she'll tell me and say, hey, look, I got some things that are coming up. My son is starting sports and we're going to have to travel. I might want to pace myself. I'm going to go with the least expensive. Whatever her option is, I'm going to affirm that with her. And I'm going to say, hey, that's a great option. If she picks the higher option, I'm going to tell her, hey, that's a great option. Let's go ahead and go with that. And I'm going to explain what it's going to take for her to get, for us to take the application of what the underwriting process is. If she goes with the least expensive option, I'm going to affirm that and make her feel good about it. And I'm going to tell her at any point, she can always increase her coverage, right? If things change in her financial situation, she can always go up. She can always add more to it. And by me telling her that, that answers a question that she probably has in the back of her mind. Because some of you guys, you'll know what I'm talking about. People will ask that question. Can I increase it? Yep, you can always increase it. You can always add more coverage. And you can also explain the increasing benefit rider to where how her coverage amount will go up by 10% every year on the anniversary date of her policy. She doesn't have to prove any insurability, but it allows her to slowly add coverage over the years. And that's a way that can give people assurance that even if they start on the low end, that they can still end up with more coverage over time with their program because it's already a rider that's built into the policy to increase their coverage. All right. And so with that being said, anybody have any questions? Any comments? Did y'all see how I just flowed through that? Did y'all see that, man? My sword was sharp. I was just kind of slicing through that thing. I tell you, that's how my appointments be going, man. That's how they roll, man. I didn't belabor the point. I didn't hold them hostage for no long time, man. I'm getting to it, man. And that's how we want you to be. Is that when you have somebody, man, go ahead and get to closing the business. You present those 3 options. They're going to choose one. You tell them, okay, great. This is what we need to do. We're going to submit your application electronically, right? We're going to ask you a couple of personal questions, some medical questions and all that good stuff. And we're going to submit your application. If there's an underwriting requirement, you let them know what that underwriting requirement is. And then you say within the next 24 to 72 hours, you're going to see the first month's premium draft out of your account. That's called a good faith deposit. That means that as of right now, you will be covered for whatever option that she chose, and your son will be covered, right? And so, okay, any questions before I move forward? No questions. Okay, great. Well, let me go ahead and pull my screen up, and I start going through the Turbo app and getting her information and closing the business. That's what we want you to do. Take the order. Take the order, close the business. And then after I've closed the business, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, hey, Teresa, we've taken care of the dying too soon piece. We still need to look at that living too long part. Let's look at that living too long part. So let's schedule a follow-up meeting where we can address that, where we can talk about your investments and making sure that you're on track to have a secure and comfortable retirement. And so I'll set up a follow-up appointment to do that. Just like you should set up a follow-up appointment to address that. And if you're not securities licensed, you get with them and have them meet with an investment specialist, somebody that is securities licensed, and you make sure that piece happens. Because term insurance by itself is not enough. They need the investment to go along with it. I'm going to repeat that. Term life insurance by itself is not the full job. It's not enough. We need to get more so in the habit of getting our clients the investment side just as well. All right. And then I'll talk to them about referrals. 9 times out of 10, this has been an enjoyable experience for them. It's been an educational experience. It's been a pleasant experience. And they will give you anywhere from 3 to 5 referrals. You've probably got some referrals already built in. Let me tell you one particular referral that's already built in. With Teresa, somebody's already saying it. What's a referral that's already built in from me talking to Teresa? She got a referral already. You know who it is? It's her sister. It's her sister, right? Her sister. Her sister is going to be the beneficiary of her policy, right? And so this is what I'll tell Teresa when I'm taking the application. I'll say, hey, one of the biggest challenges that faces the life insurance industry, Teresa, is that sometimes people will pass away and their family won't know that they have a policy. So because, they don't know. So in order to be able to correct that injustice, what we've done is we've implemented a process to where we'll have you complete what we call a beneficiary certificate. And what the certificate does, it'll give some, just some facts about who we are and the fact that you have a policy, and it puts your beneficiary's information on there. So if God forbid something ever happens to you, your beneficiary will have this certificate and not have to scramble and look for your policy and who to call, but it'll have our contact information on there and our home office's contact information so she can get the claims process started and not waste any time. And you know what clients say? Man, that's great. Yep, I can see why that's needed. Absolutely. So let's fill out this beneficiary certificate real quick. And I'll pull that up, and it's an editable file, and I'll put Teresa's information in there. I'll get her sister's information. My information is already populated on there. And I'll say, hey, what's your sister's phone number? right? Get her contact information. And then you say, listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to text your sister and let her know to expect a phone call from me. So I can set up a time to meet with her to talk about this beneficiary certificate. And she'll say that, okay, great, boom. If you need me to text you what to say to them, great, I'll do that. And I text them the script of what to send out. And let me tell y'all something. Everything that I'm talking about of what to say to the person you're doing insurance for, and also what to say to the beneficiary, it's all on a script on Virtual Base Shop. You have access to it right now. Well, you can call the beneficiary and say, hey, may I speak to, let's say Teresa's sister's name is Tammy. Y'all know people be liking the name they key is the same first letter, you know, so it's Teresa, Tammy, Tony, you know, Tanae, you know what I'm saying? I mean, them the siblings, right? And so I called Tammy up. And so I say, hey, Tammy, you know, let's speak to Tammy. Yes, Tammy. Hey, Tammy, this is Nick Bracey. I'm actually your sister Teresa's financial person. I helped to get some life insurance. To give you a heads up, I was going to call you. Yep, she did. Okay, great. Well, listen, just like I told your sister, one of the biggest challenges that's facing the insurance industry is that people will pass away and the family won't know that they have a policy. And there's a lot of unclaimed money out there in death benefits. So we didn't want that to happen. So we had your sister fill out a beneficiary certificate. So if anything ever happened to her, that whole thing could be avoided. And your sister did name you as a beneficiary. Quick question. Are you okay with being Teresa's beneficiary? What y'all think Tammy gonna say? Yeah, I'm okay with it. Okay, great. Well, this is what I want to do. And I'll pull up the certificate and I'm going through it. And it's a real quick meeting. And at the end of it, I say, listen, I told your sister that, hey, whoever you put down as the beneficiary, that you want to be responsible. She mentioned that you would be the person that looked after her son. I see why she chose you, right? Would it be okay, real quick, Tammy, if I kind of showed you a little bit about what we do and what we showed to Teresa, your sister Teresa, and what she saw in it? And Tammy gonna be like, yeah, sure, go ahead, that's fine. And I'll go through the presentation with Tammy. And Tammy might be like, man, I need a policy too. And you keep it going. And guess what we're going to get from Tammy? We're going to get a beneficiary certificate, emergency contact. And you can keep that process going. You can keep that process going on and on and on, right? And however long it goes. And so that's just a quick tip and a tool on how to leverage beneficiary contacts and even emergency contacts from policies to lead to other referrals. But I'm going to ask for the referrals. So just a quick wrap up, because I do want you guys to hear Coach BWalk's wrap up with everything. Did y'all get something out of this? Was this good? Y'all talk to me. Was it cool? All right, excellent. All right, very, very good. All right, so just a quick summary for what we've discussed so far. I just want to do a quick summary. Hold on a second. So, all right, man, appreciate you, Teresa, man. Y'all give it up for Teresa McIntosh, man. Just always doing her thing. We appreciate you, sister. Thank you, Coach BWalk, for playing the role of Teresa McIntosh and helping out. But yeah, this is what a pro does. You do a brief overview. Whenever you're talking to somebody, you do a brief overview. I see you, old mama, come to you. To establish the company credibility and the educational approach. So before you start talking about the insurance, just do a brief overview to establish our company credibility and the educational approach. Then you plant the seed to schedule a second meeting to do securities. Y'all heard me do that. I planted the seed saying, hey, this is the living too long piece. That is important. I want to talk to you about that. Then you take the client through that life insurance portion of the Wealth Builder Companion Sheet. So if you look on the Wealth Builder Companion Sheet, you go down and you see that life insurance portion. That's what you take them through. Before showing the client quotes, any quotes, first get their monthly commitment. Please, teammates, before you show any quotes, find out what is the client's monthly commitment. And then let the client's budget dictate the 3 quote options that you present to them. And then close. That's what it should be. And just another quick tip, this might be another training that we're going to have to do. Default to term now. coverage when possible because it does not require a paramed exam. Default to term now, and just use your best judgment, guys. Use your best judgment. Field trainers, listen to them, follow their lead, learn from them in their process, all right? And so, Omar, you had a question. Talk to us, brother. What is your question? What is your comment?
Hey, man. First of all, thanks for the training. It was fantastic. I have 2 questions. One, do you still do the emergency contact technique to get more referrals?
You know what?
That's one question. And the other one is, go ahead.
I do, yes.
Okay, so is there a way that you can show us how you do it and at what point? And then the other thing that I wanted to ask is the example that you show is when Teresa, in this case, left her sister as beneficiary. But how do you handle people saying, I want my kids to be my beneficiaries, and you turn it into finding adult beneficiaries that you can actually try to find an appointment, a second appointment with?
Yes, so to answer your first question, yes, I do use the beneficiary and emergency contact situation. I don't do it as consistent as we should be doing it because, I mean, I'm telling you, teammates, we are leaving a lot of opportunities on the table, but they're not lost opportunities. What you can do is you can go out there and you can look through your client list and see who's still an active client and look at the beneficiary. You can pull up the application and there's contacts and referrals right there. You can always pick up the phone and contact a client even after the fact they've had a policy and do that emergency contact beneficiary approach with them and get that beneficiary's information and the emergency contact information from them right there, right? So those opportunities are still there. We haven't done it like we should. I have done it, but we haven't done it like we should. And I'll just be honest with you guys, but that's something that we can do. And the reason why y'all haven't done it because we haven't trained on it. We haven't trained on it. And so what I'll do is I'll do another training, and this will be part of next week because I told you guys next week we're going to talk about how to get referrals. This is going to be a part of that training, how to get referrals. When do you ask for the beneficiary contacts? When do you how do you go about that? How do you ease into that? We're going to talk about all of that next week. I hate to leave you with a cliffhanger, but this is true. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about that next week. Now, as far as, what was the second part of your question, Orad?
The second one is example that you gave us today was Teresa leaving the money to her sister.
Yes,
so it's kind of easy for you to have an adult beneficiary and not seek an appointment. But what about if they have children or they want to leave it to the children?
Yeah, so this is my advice. Never, ever, 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 ever let anybody put their child as a beneficiary. Never let them do that because it can create a probate nightmare because they're a minor child. If they're a minor child, meaning that if they are, a child that's under the age of 18, you want to instruct them and lead them to choosing someone that is an adult. If they are just adamant about, I don't really have anybody, then that leads to a conversation about you need an estate plan, you need a will. And so that could create an opportunity for you to meet back with them to offer them our primary legal protection program so they can get a will and estate plan done because you are able to offer that and get paid for it. And so it creates a situation where you can cross-sell to another product that they need, which is the primary legal protection program to get a will and estate plan done. But I know in the state of Texas, you never want to, I don't know how it is in other places, but just from our personal experience in the state of Texas and money being left to a minor from a deceased person, it's a nightmare. And you don't want anybody's family to be put through that if a parent passes away or parents pass away and they leave money to a minor. It is a nightmare to try to get that money. Anything that's over $30,000, it requires something called financial guardianship here in the state of Texas, which is different from regular guardianship. It's the craziest, most insane and stressful thing. And so
it's over 25,000.
Oh, it's over 25,000. I'm sorry, it's over 25,000. I stand corrected. Appreciate that, babe. Over 25,000 is whack. Yeah.
And each state has different rules.
Yeah, and each state has different rules, but just don't have it to where the minor is the beneficiary. Because ideally, I mean, in a situation like that, the parent wants the minor to get the money, make sure that they have an adult that they would want to take their role or be responsible for looking after their child that they trust and put them as the beneficiary, and then or create an estate plan, and they can do all the other stuff, create trust and all that type of stuff, and guardianship and things like that. They need to do that. They need to do that anyway. So the PLPP program, which stands for Primary Legal Protection Program, can be a game changer when it comes to helping a client get that solution. Hopefully that was able to answer the question, Omar.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome. All right, very good. So what we want to do next, just for the sake of time, guys, I'm excited, man. We want to do, look, this training is going to be out on our YouTube, our Hierarchy YouTube channel, Proven Training Official. I'm recording this bad boy. You want to make sure that you go out there and you look at all these trainings, all these different parts out there. Make sure you get it, right? So what I want to do now, I'm going to kick it over to Coach BWalk. She's going to give y'all Coach's Corner. We've been talking about winning the week. What do you need to do to win the week? So Coach BWalk, if you don't mind, talk to the team a little bit about just some of the things that they can do for the rest of this week to win the week. I turn it over to you.
All right, great. First of all, great training, Nick. This was awesome. I don't know if y'all feel it, but I do. So I hopefully you've gotten a lot out of tonight's meeting. So first of all, what I kind of want to start off today, this morning at 11 a.m., we had our RVP mentor training. We have once a month. And so we started off, and one thing they said at the beginning of the training was, don't let your title define how you use your work skills. I don't know if y'all understood that. For me, it was like a wake-up call. Just because you're a regional vice president doesn't mean anything. Do not let that define your work skills. So whatever you did to get to the position you were in, and this is for all the old heads, we call you old heads, right? And for the new people. So if you've moved to senior rep, whatever you did to get to senior rep, continue to do that so that you can move to district. If you are district, do what you need to do to get to division. You know, so when I was looking at that, I said, hey, okay, so I knew I had to do something to become a regional vice president, right? And so now that I'm regional vice president, do I let that title define me and I back off? I can't do that, because if I do, I'm asleep, right, while everybody else is awake. I met somebody this morning that woke me up, put me right in my place. They've been in the business 2 years, a former educator. All my educators on the call, wake up. You know, I'm always talking to y'all, but I'm talking to everyone. This right here is for everyone. 2 years in the business, regional vice president, $250,000 earner. 2 years in the business, single mother of 4. It woke me all the way up this morning. So if y'all didn't hear me again, I'm telling you, a single woman of four kids, $250,000 earner, only been in the business 2 years, and a former educator. She taught school. So one thing she said was, don't miss your window. Don't miss your window. And so when I'm thinking about that, don't miss your window, that means every single day, an opportunity comes your way. You are one recruit from explosion. One recruit from explosion, you guys. So anytime you are out anywhere in public, I've said that, you got your mask on, you need to come in contact with at least 10 different people a day. Get 10 numbers a day. You understand? 10 numbers. Also, we're going back to talking about reaching out to people on social media. There are different ways of approaching on social media, which, you know, we'll kind of talk about that a little later on. I have some new scripts to send out, but you need to at least be contacting, sending out 25 emails a day. If you're not doing 25 emails a day, start doing 25 emails a day. Teamwork. Everybody on this call, 25 emails a day. Make sure you are doing that, because imagine as a hierarchy, if we did 25 names a day, y'all, what could come out of that? So much. And they do this every single day. Their base shop, each person is pushing out 25 emails a day. And so that's one thing that you want to do. Like I said, try to get 5 to 10 numbers, 5 to 10 new numbers. And I think about it because getting out of your comfort zone, if you're not a person who likes to approach people, or you're kind of nervous, you're gonna have to tell yourself, okay, what do I need to do to get out of my comfort zone? There are, believe it or not, there are times where I feel uncomfortable. I have put myself out there many times before to where, okay, what do I need to do to approach this person? How do I do this? You need to get out your comfort zone, y'all. Got to get out your comfort zone, because if you want a beast on your team, guess who has to be the beast? People are following who? They're following you, your production. If you don't have the production, how do you expect for people to come in behind you and do the work? They're looking at you. And so those are things that in my mind, I'm hearing everything that this lady is telling us this morning. And I'm like, you know what, Benicia? To get where you are now, not where you are now, you told yourself you were the beast. You had beasts on your team because they were doing what you were doing. So in order to make sure that I stay and I do what I need to do to get to the next level, guess what I have to do? I can't get comfortable in the position I'm in. And I have to relate this whole thing to myself, because each day I look at my business every day as well. So I have to be the beast that I want on my team. I want a beast. Guess what? I got to be the beast. They have to see my production. They have to see what I do. I have to come on with it. Miss Jackie, I see you looking. I have to come on with it in order to make sure that they're doing it. So I want to know who on this call, and I ask that because I seriously want to know who on this call wants to be the beast. Who on this call thinks they're the best? And that's what it is, because you have to know that you are the best. You have to know that you are the beast. You have to see it and you have to believe it. You have to make it happen, y'all. Because if you sit back any longer, guess what's going to happen? The time is ticking. Things are passing you. Opportunity is passing you. That $250,000 that she's making in 2 years, that's passing you. That opportunity to move up to the next level, if you're making that run to regional vice president, the time is passing you. March, this is the month, y'all. This is the month to make things happen. If you're not making things happen in the life of your business, this is the month to make things happen. I started pulling all kind of things today, trying to see what it is that I can do, because I'm fighting for my why. Her why was her children. I have a why just like she does. Everyone on this call has a why just like I do. You need to tell yourself tonight when you go to sleep, if you don't have a why, you need to think of one, because that's going to be your drive when you feel like giving up in this business. Make sure that you have that why in your mind. Make sure you embed that why in your heart, in your soul, and in your spirit. And when you want to give up, look and write it down. Put it on something in your house. When you feel like giving up, you look at that why and you keep on pushing, you keep on going. So tomorrow, if you haven't started and if you feel like you get off this call tonight, how many emails a day? 25 emails a day. Everybody on the call, 25 emails a day. Get 5 to 10 new numbers a day. You have to make sure that you are putting yourself out there and getting outside that comfort zone. Make sure that you understand we are in the business of helping people, blessing others. It's not about you. It's about other people. It is not about you. I'm going to say that again. It is about other people, y'all. And let's make sure we are out here doing what we need to do. Why am I so passionate about this? I think about everything that I have been through in life, and I know exactly where I want to go, and I know my why. And every time I look at someone and someone tells their story, it just ignites it inside of me. Y'all heard Shanika and Ed Turner this weekend. What you got to do? They talked about the 8531 rule. We know the more appointments that you set, the more likely you're going to have business. You're going to close some type of business. You're going to have recruits. If you're not recruiting, what's going to happen to your business? The business fails. You have to make sure you are recruiting. Put yourself out there daily, y'all. Let's make some things happen. Right now, we are not reaching the goals that we have put on the board. Let's come back next weekend and next Tuesday when Nick is talking to us. And let's look at that and let's shock him. Let's say, okay, well, we said we wanted these numbers by March. I think next week is March 15th. I'm just throwing the number out there. I don't have a calendar in front of me. We said we want these numbers. Guess what? Nicholas Bracey, this is where we at. Shock him. That's our coach. Let's go get it, you know? And just think, we all on this call, we want our regional vice presidents, and I say they're still my coaches, even if I'm a regional vice president, we want them to become senior vice presidents, right? We want that. So if we want that, we have to make sure that we are doing what we are working, but let's make sure we're working together. Everybody, let's make sure we're working together and doing what we need to do. All the new people, make sure you reach out to your coaches daily. When I think back when I first joined the business, you couldn't tell me not to contact that man. I said, I'm going to contact him today. I'm going to make sure he hears from me. I'm going to make sure I have my appointments. I'm going to make sure whatever appointments he told me I need to have, I'm going to have way more than that. I'd be in class just texting him, hey, you free today? What time you free? I got this appointment. I'm doing this. Set those appointments up. Be creative in your mind. Everybody on this call has something that they can bring. That's the beauty about it, is that everyone is so creative and unique in their own way. You have so many ideas that you can bring. Don't think that you can't talk to your field trainer about an idea that you have. That may be something that you and your field trainer can discuss that can be brought to the table for somebody else. There were plenty of times where I said, hey, Nick, I think, this may help. It may help my business. If it helps and we try it out, we can bring it to the team, and so now's the time. If we haven't worked together, this is the time, 2021, it's the time to come together. It's the time to work together as a team, y'all. Together, we can do so much. And I know the things that Nick and Rahima has done for us. And so we're going to take them to the next level. I heard that lady say today what they're going to do for their upline, their coaches. We're going to do the same thing for ours. They made $250,000. We're going to get them to $500,000. And guess what? Everybody on this call, everybody needs to be aiming for $100,000. We ought to have some people with rings on their fingers. And so I have goals. If you don't tonight, put goals in place for you, your business, your family. Make things happen, y'all. I can't emphasize this enough. It's important, because what I want from you in your business, if you don't want it, we can't make it happen. I'm going to say it one more time. What I want for you in your business, if you don't want it, we can't make it happen. I love y'all. Let's go get it. Let's make some things happen, y'all. And I like I say, you're going to see me, for all the new people, I'm going to always be on 99.9, okay? Because without God, I wouldn't be here, and I'm so blessed. And so I want to share that. So let's make things happen, Chandra. Let's make things happen, all right? And let's get it. Love y'all. Y'all have a nice night. Go set those goals, and let's set those appointments, and let's start those emails. Let's get these things going. Let's start it, y'all. All right.
And thank you so much, Coach BWalk. Woo! Always on fire. You said be the beast to attract the beast. I love that, man. Don't let your title define or decide your work ethic. You got to work this thing. Fantastic, guys. Way to close out the meeting. Love that. Y'all will get a chance to watch it, listen to it through the YouTube channel. I'm going to upload it. It'll be there. If not tonight, it'll definitely be there in the morning. So be on the lookout for that. Let's close out with a prayer, and we ready to rock and roll and go. Everybody bow their head. Lord God, we thank you for the blessing of this meeting, Father. We thank you for your presence at this meeting, Lord Father, and in the hearts and minds of the people that have assembled this evening, Father. We love you with all of our heart, body, soul, mind, and strength. We thank you for taking us to new heights and new levels of victory, increase, abundance, promotion, and for the divine connection in the right direction that you are steering our lives, Lord God. We submit it all over to you, Lord Father. We know that you have the power to create wealth. You give us the power to create wealth, Lord Father, and that we are stewards over this wealth, Lord Father. Hallelujah. And that we give you all the glory, honor, and praise. Continue to bless the work of our hands, Lord God. Multiply, Lord Father, as you can multiply everything. Father, we love you with all of our heart, body, soul, mind, and strength. We thank you for your presence. We thank you for forgiveness of sin, Lord Father. We thank you for the hedge of protection that you are keeping all around us, that no weapon formed against us will prosper, seen or unseen, Lord Father, that you are always there in the midst, carrying us and covering us. It's in the mighty name of Jesus Christ we do pray. Amen. Thank you, guys. Let's go make it a great week. Let's win the week. Thank you, guys. Love y'all. Peace.